Welcome one and all, I'm Decoy, and now that I've finally beat Chernobylite, I feel like we should go back in, kind of give a little brief review, and I guess to some extent I might touch on a slight spoiler, but I will for the most part try to steer clear of it. Now, as for the world itself, it is freaking awesome. Alright, getting to go around the exclusion zone of Pripyat, you got Chernobyl. It's just really, really cool. Now, there is one aspect of the game that I'm not really sure how well it worked. And that would be back here behind the statue. There were things I could build that were supposed to alter how the area is when I would revisit it. And so basically, like, radiation climbs over time, or I want to say like the heat of an area, like the amount of enemies spawning there would increase over time. And I'm not sure how big of a difference the things I built made, just for the simple fact that I would have to, play through not building them ever, and then do a playthrough where I was hardcore devoted towards building those. Now, one thing I can say that I absolutely hated was walking into walls of radiation, because you just don't know they're there until it's too late and you're going, oh crap, I need to backpedal a little bit or I'm going to suffer the consequences. Again, though, the world itself is freaking beautiful. Loved walking around and exploring in it. And the clip I'm using right now, I just tried to go in and record just walking around, not messing with anything story-wise, just enjoy the scenery a little bit. Now, I will say some of the different mechanics of the game and the weapons. The weapons were pretty cool, but I didn't actually try all of them for the simple fact that they didn't fit my playstyle. And I loved my revolver. I fell in love with that thing. The fact that you could convert it into a belt-fed revolver was just beyond hilarious to me. But I really enjoyed it. I did have some issue with the assault rifle. I don't know, it just felt a little off at times. But overall, still pretty darn good. Now, there is one thing that I really didn't get into until way later in the game, and I wish I would have played around with it a little bit more, and that would be traps. Traps are just an absolute joy, alright? Throwing down a trap and having an enemy walk into it and it just destroy their day was... I was laughing like crazy the first time I built a trap and actually played with it. And I wish I would have got into that a lot sooner, because that was cool. So let's see, what else we got to talk about? The characters. Oh my gosh. There are some really, really cool characters in this game. Mind you, they're all a bit crazy, but they are really freaking cool. I can almost guarantee that you're going to walk away from the game absolutely loving at least one or more of the characters in it. Now, alright, so I want to touch on something that may be kind of a spoiler, but I don't know. It's the one iffy thing within the entire subject. And that would be, there is one game mechanic that I love the idea of it. And what it was that, as you're playing through a game, you make different choices and it affects how your whole story goes. Well, maybe you didn't like one of those choices. Well, now you can go back and alter your choices. And then, you get to see how everything plays out after altering that choice. Now, when I did my playthrough, I did my best to play through as far as I could without altering choices. I did ultimately go back and change one of them, but it just is such a cool idea. So that could definitely give the game a little bit more replayability as you try to iron out all of the little bad decisions you've made along the way. Now, so that I love, but there is one thing that I got so burnt out on in the game, and that would be revisiting areas. Now, it's okay if you go back to a spot, maybe 1-2 extra times, but when you go back to the same spot, say 5 times, that is overkill, and it just kind of sucks by that point. You've probably already explored everything. There's nothing really new to see. You're just showing up for an objective, and it didn't make for an enjoyable experience to me. That was hands down my biggest negative. Now, one last thing I want to touch on is the story. The story was pretty freaking cool. Getting to see it all unravel. Absolutely enjoyed it. So overall, I definitely think the game's worth checking out. It does have little quirks here and there, but overall, absolutely awesome. And hey, if you don't really want to play it, I've got a whole series about it. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please remember to like, sub, and share. Later.